Thank you for watching the Shakaama live show with your host Shakaama. That's me. So here is the Libertarian response to the State of the Union as given by Barack Obama, President of the United States. So let's go through this. In not the same order, I just wrote down some notes and I'm going to give you the response to what was said. So he said, free community college, the federal government is to pay 75% of the tab. State and local government already subsidize community college a little bit. In all states, community college is subsidized. That's why it's much more cheaper than a regular university. So here's the deal. And the impetus of this is that he's saying that college should basically be free. And he said some people are priced out of going to college. What does that mean? That means that it is too expensive for them to go to college. Here's what you don't know if you're ignorant to the whole situation. The federal government backs the banks giving out loans for students to attend college. And just like insurance in the healthcare field, medical field, insurance paying directly for your medical bills, the federal government paying for your student loans makes the price skyrocket. And how does it do that? Simple. You are going to be the ultimate payor of whatever the bill is going to be. As an intermediary, the bank, the federal government, is going to pay whatever the client, in this case, the client is the university. You are paying for the client, the university. You are paying the university or the community college for your cost. The libertarian view is to get out from in between a student and a university. When you don't have a guaranteed loan, that even if the student fails to pay, that the federal government will pick up the tab for you, you have competition. If I had a business and every person that walked in, the federal government said, if they take something off of the shelf, it doesn't matter if they can pay for it, I'd raise the price, right? I'd be, well, okay, well then why am I charging $1 for a hot dog? I should charge $20 for a hot dog, $30, $100 for a hot dog. If the federal government, and I know the federal government is rich, right? They have all those trillions of dollars. The libertarian response to that is the federal government should step out. And this proposal to pay for community college is just completely wrong. This is more tax dollars. So people who are never going to go to college, people who have never seen college, people who don't have children who are going to go to college are going to be paying taxes for people who are going to go to college, to go to community college. They're already doing it with the student loan. Get the government out of this completely. No student loans. And before you get all crazy and say, what? If the federal government did not guarantee loans, three things would happen. The banks would be very particular about who they lent money to, right? And that would probably mean that they would get out of the loan business to students because students have no credit. The student loan is actually written in your name. It's not written in your mom and dad's name. It's written in your name. You don't have credit. You don't have a name. You have absolutely no reputation and no history of paying off such a bill. So at the extreme, banks would completely get out of lending you money for college, right? So the university then cannot rely on having money, this endless supply of money flowing into them via the federal government and via banks, right? So they would have to necessarily fire people, cut staff, cut programs, cut extra stuff, cut this, cut that, and they would only be offering you just what you need. Now, does that sound bad or good? That sounds good, doesn't it? You don't have to take underwater basket weaving, English literature as a engineering major. There is no need for you to take English lit. There is no point in your career as a computer scientist that you're going to go, but did you read Faulkner? You know, I mean, it makes no sense. And finally, they would be in competition for those very few dollars that are out there. And because of that competition, a college degree would become rarer and rarer and rarer, which means that the payment for that job position that requires a college degree would pay more and more and more because there would be fewer college degree holders. So all of you with college degrees would be sitting pretty. Those without, you would have to come up with the money yourself. And really, parents are supposed to pay for college anyway. If you don't pay for your child's college, you're a bad parent. I mean, there's no two ways about it. And I don't mean that as a joke. No, I'm being completely dead serious. Anybody who tells you differently is probably a low-life scum. And I've seen parents, I'm not paying for his college. Then what did you have a child for? Then you want your son or daughter to be one of the dregs of society. And I already done a video just on that. Okay, next, close Gitmo. So he's going to close the Guantanamo Bay. He says he's going to close it. Okay, close Guantanamo Bay, but don't release the terrorists to the world. Have you had a trial? If you haven't had a trial, have a trial and sentence them. If you've had a trial and they're working off their sentence, send them to a maximum security prison and be done with it. The people that he released, those 5 guys, 3 of them are already leaders in the jihadi movement, the worldwide jihadi movement. They're already back in business. So it's a no-brainer. They say, 75% recidivism. And they said that the people left in Gitmo right now are the hardcore jihadis, which means they would be a 100% recidivism. I say they should be in a prison where they belong, where they are supposed to be. Maximum security prison. If they happen to get killed in prison population, hey, all sorts of people die. Nobody gets out alive. Raise the minimum wage again. He's saying this to a majority Republican House and a majority Republican Senate. I mean, he doesn't hope to actually accomplish this. Now, going over some numbers, there are states who have already raised the minimum wage for all those people going crazy, right? There are already states who have raised the minimum wage, and they have all seen negative job growth. I.e., those people, when those states raised the minimum wage, people lost their jobs left and right. It had a negative impact on jobs, meaning unemployment went up, not down. And again, they harp on minimum wage. It's just a buzzword. I want to caution you. It's just a buzzword. To them, it's just a buzzword. I know that there's people who make minimum wage. If you are listening to me and you make minimum, first of all, there should be no reason that you should make minimum wage, because if you make minimum wage, go ahead, review all of my videos, take notes. I already have told you and trained you and given tutorials on what to do. You can do really simple stuff to boost your not only income, but your wealth. My channel has a wealth building instrument to it already built in. Just watch the videos. I have over 1,000 videos, and a lot of them have to do with finance. There should be no reason anybody who watches my channel should even come close to working for minimum wage. And I don't care if you don't have a college degree. But the states who have raised the minimum wage to much higher than the current federal minimum wage have seen negative job growth. And to them, it's just a buzzword. Here's the deal. Less than 1% of the labor population, that means of the people who work, so that excuses all children, excuses all retirees, excuses all of the people who are in wheelchairs who can't work at all, excuses all of those people. Only the people who are capable and able to work, only 1% of them. So it's a really tiny number, right? Because we're throwing out all of these other people. Housewives doesn't include them. It's just the people who are able and capable of working and who want to work, right? It's less than 1% of those people. And they are only there temporarily. Nobody should, theoretically, technically, be working for minimum wage more than 6 months. If you are, you, as the worker, are doing something wrong. So we're talking about less than 1% of the labor force. It's not a whole bunch of people. It doesn't have an impact on the economy whatsoever, but it's a talking point of the Democrats, but because they know if you say we need to raise the minimum wage, all the liberals go crazy, go, yay, yeah, yeah. I don't know anything about economy, but yeah, yeah, yeah. If you raise the minimum wage, that means that gum goes up, candy bars go up, soda goes up, gas goes up, food goes up, fast food goes up, everything else goes up exactly, if not more than, the exact amount that you raised the minimum wage up. If I were president, I would be lowering minimum wage. That's how you combat poverty. Lower the minimum wage. Why aren't people working now? Because the employer says to himself, I can't hire a person at $12 an hour. I can't hire a person at $15 an hour. I can't hire a person at $20 an hour. Now, if I were president, I'd lower the minimum wage. I'll say, could you afford to hire somebody at $6 an hour? Well, I bet you a whole bunch of employers say they can do that. And I bet you, even if they offered that, I bet you a whole bunch of people who are out of work would take those $6 an hour job. And if I lowered it to $5 an hour, I'd ask, can you employ somebody at $5 an hour? Oh, definitely. I can hire somebody at $5 an hour. I could hire somebody at $4 an hour. I could hire somebody at $3 an hour. And I bet you people would work at that wage. Now, why would they work at that wage? Because they have no money. They have nothing. Now, let me ask you this. If 20% of the population started working for under $10 an hour, the economy would go down. The entire economy would go down. The cost of living would go down, right? Then your sodas would go down. Then your candy bars would go down. Then your gas would go down. Then your fast food would go down. Your food would go down. Everything would go down. Why? Because labor is no longer this heavy burden on employment, labor cost. And that would put more people to work. That is pure economics. That's not even a libertarian, but libertarians do learn about economy, or economics, so that goes hand in hand. Me, he talked about himself all the time. He is the one who lowered the gas prices. He is the one who did the oil embargoes. He is the one, yeah, he parted the Red Sea. Got it. He claims that climate change is a big, huge scare by the Pentagon. I don't know what the Pentagon has to do with climate change, but apparently the Pentagon told him, I think he's talking out of the side of his neck. I think he's just throwing out names just to get us to go, ooh, because we never hear about the Pentagon, right? The Pentagon's not in the news. He claims that the Pentagon told him that climate change is so scary that it is elevated to the point of being a threat to national security. How ridiculous, even if climate change were true, which it's not, how in the world would it be a threat to national security? The sun is getting hotter? No, they don't say the sun is getting hotter. They say that man is causing the heat to rise on Earth. And nothing that the sun is doing, it's man is causing heat to rise on the Earth. We're not going to talk about the black ice and the freezing and the snow that are actually killing people. They just had on Fox News a video clip of a double tractor trailer slipping on black ice, crashing through the median and going to the other side of the highway, missing the car who was doing the filming by inches. The car was actually in another accident. There was somebody inside the car because they slipped too. Somebody inside the car filming the tractor trailer coming up. The tractor trailer tries to swerve and of course hits the ice and then crashes through the median and goes through the other side, and somebody else hit the trailer too. And then there was a 30 car pileup. This is all under this pretense global warming. And what are they trying to do? They're trying to raise taxes. They're trying to make you scared. But here's the deal. This all Republican Congress, I think, is going to go along whatever he says anyway, because all it does is raise taxes. And Republicans, now the established Republicans, they are neocons. They are Democrats inside of the Republican Party. They are all on board with it. All it does is increase government. China agreed to lower emissions in cahoots with this climate change. I don't know what they're really doing, but it's all preposterous. He claimed that he has turned the page after 6 years on the economy, but he also claimed this 6 years ago when he first got elected. And I'm going to make a video. I'm going to show you. Of course, it's all a lie, right? It's a big lie. The economy has not changed. We're not doing better. There are not more jobs. There's still 9 million people out of work, completely out of work. That number doesn't go away. You know how I said people on minimum wage don't stay at minimum wage? Yes, but the people who don't work at all, that number doesn't go away. They still make zero. He is proposing to raise the capital gains tax because he doesn't want investment. That's what capital gains is. You have invested in something. You don't actually work for a company, but you've invested in the company. A company is trying to expand or trying to stay in business, and people have invested in the company, and he wants to raise the tax on that. I think every poor person should be rallying against this. Why? Because that means that the people who invest in the company, if you lower the capital gains, they're going to do more investments in company. So what does that mean? That means that they can afford to hire more people. Ultimately, capital gain, that investment doesn't go to people's pocket. That investment goes directly into the company. If you didn't understand what that meant. He wants to raise the inheritance tax. That means if you die and leave stuff to your children, the children will be taxed. But here's the deal. That's like triple, quadruple, quintuple taxation. Why? Because every dollar generated in the United States is taxed automatically. Every dollar that you get in a paycheck is already taxed, right? It's taxed like 3 or 4 times before you even get your paycheck. It's taxed on the side of the employer. It's taxed 3 different times on your actual paycheck. So then if you buy a house, you also pay a tax on the house. If then you leave your child the house and the government wants to then tax that as well, so that child has to come up with $30,000 or something ridiculous like that. So some people are now saying that they have to work to raise money to leave their children their stuff. So that the child, well, it's not going to be a child. It's probably, like a 40-year-old man or something like that. The child is now going to have to pay for the stuff that they get. So they're raising money to pay for, it's just so ridiculous. And everybody should be against this. Everybody should be against this. Everybody, the entire United States should be against inheritance tax. All it is I'm going to tax you just because I can. You're not going to get anything out of it. It doesn't go into anything. All it does is expand government. It does absolutely nothing for you. He wants to remove tax breaks for the rich. Again, tax breaks for the rich. If the rich have more money, where do they park their money? They park their money by investing in companies or hard assets, which includes houses. So the rich do stuff with their money. They don't keep it in the bank. There's no such thing as a rich guy. That's why when they do net worth calculations, they don't go to somebody's bank account and say, oh, okay, I see here that you have $200 million. No, that's not how it works. What they do is say, oh, show me your portfolio. Oh, I see that you have 20,000 shares of IBM. I see that you have 200,000 shares of Apple, Microsoft. I see that you own 20 houses that you're renting out to people. That's how you calculate net worth. So the rich park their money in businesses, in stuff that the poorer people benefit from. If you raise taxes on the rich, that means that they're not going to have as much money to invest in companies, which means the economy goes down. Wall Street goes down. The real Wall Street, not the fake one where they're doing a derivative default swaps, nothing like that. We're talking about real investment. So even poor people should be against raising the tax on the rich. And then out of the blue, he says they need to stop anti-Semitism. It was so, I understand that it's a political point and it's seen so disjointed, meaning it was so out of place and just out of the blue. Anti-Semitism. I'm really sick of this. Anti-Semitism? Who cares? We're talking about Jews? Who cares? Jews are not special. They're not special humans. They have no special human traits. They don't fly on carpets and grant wishes. They do none of that crap. If you want to talk about racism, people are more racist to black people now than during the Bush administration. Why is that significant? Because Barack Obama is supposedly black and people were calling it a post-racial nation. It is more racist now. Black men are going to jail more now. And that's a completely racist, inherent systemic racism. Black men are shot more by the police now. And no, they don't have to be criminal. They can be innocent children. They can be innocent little girls. They can be innocent men just walking down the street. Yes, I have all of those reports. It's worse now against black people. Who cares about Jews? Jews are not special. If you're Jewish, you're not special. If you're special, I want you to grant me 3 wishes right now while you're listening to me, while you're watching this video. Grant me 3 wishes. Come on. If you're special, what's so special? Are there bad Jews that people can hate on? Yes. Yes, there are. There's bad black people. There's bad white people. Hello, David Duke is still alive. Just out of the blue, he says, and we need to stop anti-Semitism. We need to stop anti-black. We need to stop anti-Cholo. We need to stop anti-Asian. I understand they have a stranglehold on some parts of the economy, but they're not special. They're not magical beings. Get over it. You're the president of the United States. You don't have to kowtow to a Jew. And I know it's just so patently, blatantly obvious that's all you were doing was pandering to Jews. We need to stop. Just out of the blue. Just out of the blue. Hey, global warming and we need to stop anti-Semitism. What? Wait, what does that have to do with global warming? Nothing. I just had to put it in my, see here, I have my checkoff list. I just had to make sure. And why did he have to make sure of that? Because he has a reputation of not being pro-Israel, of not being pro-Jewish, of not being pro-Hollywood. He has a very bad reputation with Israel and the Jews. So out of the blue, he has to say this weird stuff in his speech. Now, I don't know who got to him. I don't know who threatened him, but I'm sorry. Jews are not special. I don't hate Jews. I have friends who are Jewish. They've been on my Facebook friend list since the very beginning, since the day I started it. They've invited me to be into movies, to be into TV shows. And I've been afraid of them because they sent me, they're producers and the producers acted weird. Oh, okay. I shouldn't say this, right? Anyway, yes, I have Jewish friends. They're not magical. I know. I've seen them up close. They're Goldilocks. They don't do anything. They don't grant me any wishes. I don't get it. Anyway, black people suffer more than anybody else. So to call out, oh, let's stop the what is the government going to do? Is the government going to go around and say, now, you shouldn't be saying that anti-Semitic stuff. And the people that they're saying are Semitic, first of all, they're not Semites. They're white people. They're Polish, Russian, Yugoslavian, German. They're white people. They're Europeans. And in fact, I saw an interview of a Jew in Israel whose family had been in that area for centuries before this invasion by the Europeans. And they said, we think that the European Jews should go back to Europe, to their home. I'm not talking about a Palestinian said this. I'm not talking about an Arab said this. I'm talking about a real live Jewish person said this. The European Jews should leave, should get out of here. I'm going to be like Kermit and say, well, that's none of my business, but I mean, he said it, I'm just conveying it. Anyway, this was a lackluster State of the Union address. This is a obviously named lame duck presidency. He only has one more State of the Union address after this. This was nothing. This was a big heaping pile of nothing. And he had said a whole bunch of stuff that doesn't matter, that you already know, we already know, they already know, that the Republican Congress is not going to endorse. He has never gotten a budget passed. You know that the president also writes a budget as a suggestion, and presidents throughout history have had their budgets passed because they were great budgets. This guy even got Democrats to disagree with his proposed budgets. He's not a great president. I know there's so many people who are hopeful. I understand that you're hopeful, but this is not the person you should be putting your hope in. And that is my libertarian response to the State of the Union 2015. Thank you for watching the Shakaama Live Show.